Because when we started with, and it eventually ended up building a framework that we called the 4-pillar framework for Wylde.
Okay.
For a successful organization. So the first one is would come and ask you questions around your identity. You know, do you have a vision? If it's there, do your employees understand it? Is it clear? Do people live out your vision, mission, and values? Are you clear on what makes your company unique, you know, at the core and all these sorts of things? So that would now call the identity and culture piece. Because from that is where now you'll be able to build a culture in your business that enables you to achieve your vision. Then when your vision is in place, now the next thing is what's a strategy to get to the vision? Now we come back, do an internal SWOT, and we built our own tool for doing like measuring a company 360 internally. Tools.
Yeah,
because just that same thing that informed us right from the beginning of building our own content. Like it's not rocket science to build our own tools, because I'd go online and I would see these things like the McKinsey 7S model, and I would actually feel like we could create something superior to that. Our model looks at more than 7 areas in a business. We look at 18 plus. Like
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would look at what your McKinsey's, BCG's, Big Four are doing. I would look at their frameworks, and then I'm like, no, I think for these Kenyan businesses, we need to look at different things. Because I'd be like, this is probably built for a large company, but what about an entrepreneur? I would look at things like the balanced scorecard framework, and I'm like, it's looking at 4 areas, which for me are for a mature business. What about someone who's just starting out? There are many other areas to look at.
Customizing them.
Yeah, so we're just customizing for what
to the region,
need.
and by region I mean Pan-Africa.
Yeah. Those tools are probably globally whatever now.
Okay.
Yeah, and superior to what some of those other people were doing. So anyway, so the identity and culture piece was pillar 1. Pillar 2 would be the strategy planning, and then we realized Kenyans do the strategy plan, then they shelve the document. So we added an aspect of execution. So we'd say when we are done doing the plan, we'll come back 3 months later and see, have you implemented the things that were to be done in quarter 1? Have you implemented? So we'd meet with our clients quarterly. And their clients to date we did that with, that Wylde is still meeting with.
So that puts you to the retainer system?
Yeah, so you get into some kind of retainer system, because you're helping them implement, you're helping them re-strategize when they find issues down the line.
Yep.
Then something else now came up. Because if strategy, planning, and execution is the second part, when we are doing a strategy plan, we do a 360 of the organization. So we look at all the systems. How is your financial system?
An audit.
How is your marketing? How is your brand? How is, your legal? How is your whatever? So we created a tool that would measure whether all these systems exist in your business or not, which was pillar number 3 for systems, processes, and systems, structures, and processes. Do you have an organization structure? Do you have HR policies? Do you have whatever? So we built this entire tool that would measure all these things, and it gives like a spiderweb snapshot showing where you're doing well and where you're doing badly. Of course, for a lot of our initial clients, they are doing badly in a lot of the areas. So I'd be like, okay, your strategy plan says we need to work on our brand now. Who's going to do it for us? They're like, okay, just go look for a brand consultant. They find a crap brand consultant. Whatever they bring back, we look at it, we are like, oh my God, is this the brand you created? So later we realized, okay, we need to curate all these other people who we can refer our customers to implement these things down the line. So we started now proactively.
You're doing this as Wylde?
Yes. So, because we are solving a problem, like if you can't go and solve the problem on your own, then we find a solution. So we asked ourselves, can we find experts in all these different fields who have good quality, who, were
you getting commissions?
Share our values? No.
You were just doing referrals?
Up until today, that doesn't happen. Yeah, so we just do referrals. So our primary thing is you go and make sure you come back with something good. Yeah. So that this was maybe between 2008 and 2010. So as we did this, primarily a lot of the people we did this for were largely small businesses. So they would pay us like 50K for that consulting or something. Remember, we had come off the back of post-election, so business was dry. We are just building this new division in for consulting, and we are building all these tools, so they're experimental, so we would not charge very much for them. But the rate of growth we saw with our clients, we had clients go from doing 5 million a year to doing 100 million a year, and we are like, this stuff works.
Okay. Is that the 4th pillar that you mentioned?
So
you mentioned identity.
So identity and culture, strategy, planning and execution, systems, structures and processes. And the first one was now people alignment. So now the original training we're doing of aligning people was coming after all these other things I placed.
Yes.
Because sometimes you'd even train people and they are the wrong ones. So when you come and change all these other things, you realize you trained the wrong people. So we're like, okay, maybe we should focus more on fixing the organization, making sure it's well structured and it's now growing. And then now we come and plug in the people. So now we started to get a lot of SME clients coming for
that. Is brilliant.
That
like
consulting.
why even like me? I wish I think you guys. I wish I knew what you guys did. Also, I wish I was as educated as I am about entrepreneurship as I am now.
Yeah.
But what you're offering right now, like when I hear what your Wylde was doing then, it's incredible. In
fact, we were really terrible at marketing at the time, which we realized a lot later. That and even now, I don't know if we are still very good at telling our story, because some of the people we worked with then, there's people like
you said Madhoni drama queen. So
that's how those kind of people came in. Because first we did a strategy plan for organization called YIKE, Youth Initiatives Kenya. YIKE was like the non-profit arm of a lady called Ninke.
Yes, from Penya.
Yeah, and Ninke and Wawesh were running Penya. So when we finished doing the work for Ninke, she called us to do the same for Penya. And in doing all those organizational audits, we had to interview staff, we had to interview people. So who do we interview when we're interviewing Penya? There are these new guys called Sauti Sol. This is 2008. There's this guy called Stan, there's a person called Della, there's Madhoni Drama Queen, and there's Just a Band. Those are the first 5 people. So Kinaninkia, like you had, interview them, then find out which kind of structures we need. So
like what kind of questions were you asking them?
Just finding out what the experience is like, how, are they being managed in a systematic way? Are there structures to do that management and stuff? Then we'd come back now and sit with Ninke and Wesh and now build a strategy around these are the systems and structures we need to build so that they're able to manage this thing a bit more effectively. And that was before any of them had hit, because I remember I had the master copies of their original masterings from where she's like, yeah, it's a different sound, go listen to these guys. So I come and listen, I'm like, hey, what's this music? Just a band, In fact, I think I had free copies from all those guys at the beginning as part of the assignment for us to help Penya now come and start to build their brand, build their marketing, build their structures.
Let me ask you, why did we think like this? Why is it that, and I don't mean to be, I'm just keeping it real. Why is it that it takes a Ninka to be the one
to recognize that? Yeah,
you get what I mean? Why is it that's a foreigner? Ninka is not Kenyan. In fact, I think she's from Norway.
Yeah, she's not. She's Dutch.
Dutch. So why? What is it with us? Why isn't the creative industry running to you right now?
Yani, we can have a very long story about the creative industry because there's many who've come down, Suzanne, Giuliani, blah blah blah, down the path. So Ninke is actually the one who introduced us into that, whatever. And I think, as you've heard from many other guys who've been on CTA, they fell out later with Wesh.
Yes.
In fact, I was one of the people trying, I remember sitting with Ninke and Wesh in, trying to mediate, saying, you guys have built something wonderful, don't break it apart. This thing will go places.
So I'm not into the daku of why they broke up, but what would be some of the causes that would...
I think, and we've seen it a lot now with other founders down the line, where sometimes when you begin that process of clarifying identity and culture, what's the vision and everything, is when it begins to expose cracks that maybe you are not on the same page as much as you thought you did. And that has happened with a lot of people we've consulted for. So there are some who are able to merge their whatevers, but there are others for whom that clarity shows somebody that, this thing is not going to work.
And there's also the aspect
and like for someone like Ninke, there was other realities. I think the dad was sick, or one of the parents was sick in Europe, and so when they passed on, she just felt the need to go back home and sort that out.
I want to see if you've implemented this on your own company. Is that so? Are you still a member of Wylde? Are you? That's
I'm still a board member. I'm still a shareholder.
That's funny. Yeah. But is Kamau still in?
No. So he left in 2012.
Okay. So are you going to explain that?
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
We're coming to that. So do you have other partners within?
Yes.
Also, other people
I'll
joined the
explain
business.
other people, how other people joined in.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, so as we are doing all this experimentation with consulting, so like Penya, Ike came on board as clients. And then we had other small companies like iPay, Intrepid, came on as a client then. So by then, what we began to realize is that a lot of entrepreneur-led businesses are easy to get to make that decision of overhauling the entire business. So so we started to get other like SME clients, and then we realized that there's a huge pool of SMEs that require these services. While if we were to pitch the same services to like your multinationals, they have policies from abroad that don't allow for that decision making to be done locally. So that's when we started to see, okay, these entrepreneurs are not in small numbers. So maybe we can build a different model of consulting for entrepreneurs.
Affordable.
That is affordable, that, you know, maybe they pay as they go. So we started to put this program together. So we started to put this program together that all these things would do through an entire consulting process, would break them down into like modules. And we said, what if we did a program where different entrepreneurs sign up and then we take them through. So every month we come for 1 month and do one class, and the next month we do another class. So they'll come and learn about identity and culture. Then they'll learn about vision, mission, values. We'll talk through the theory of it. Then they'll go sit with the employees, come up with a draft vision and whatever, then come back the next month. We look at what they've come up with, we discuss. Then we go and discuss strategy. We had a broken down strategy template. They go and fill this in with the employees, come back, implement, like that. So by the time we finished putting that concept together, it was beginning of 2010. And that's when a program called Greatness Business Club was born. I'm sure you've heard about it.